Good morning, and welcome back. Welcome back. Who am I? Who am I? Every day, relentlessly, we ask this question. Relentlessly, we ask this question. Who am I? And actually, what I'm really doing is I spend about an hour doing an oral meditation, sort of stream of consciousness, allowing my own unresisted inner being have her say for an hour or so, and then I go out and start my day. And for this hour, I invite you in to talk about these topics that are actually so important to all of us. Who am I? Who am I? And where did we come from? And what's the object of the exercise? Where are we going? What are we up to? How does it work? How does reality come into being? What is reality? What is a kind of reality understanding that we could all collectively sort of generally agree on? And then go from there. Who are we? I've been thinking about it this morning already. I do that every morning before the show starts. I have pondered things from the time I woke up until the time I go on the air. I'm thinking about these things. I was pondering this morning what it is. What this show is we're going to talk about what is at stake here. And if we get this understanding, or if we do not get this understanding, what is at stake? What's the prize? What's the punishment? The prize, if we get it, is a peaceful understanding of who we are and how to be on this planet without the need for the kind of stringent rules and regulations and laws and weird things that we do in order to keep our order, right? What is at stake generally? Peace with one another, free, clean energy for everyone, gravity control, an understanding of who we are, and peace in our hearts. How about so I was trying to pull back and think about this and look at this. What are we really talking about? What am I going to be talking about? When I ask the question, who are we? Who am I? What am I asking? I want to talk about the physical structure of ourselves and reality, and how it comes together to make us, and what it implies about what we can do about our quote, air quote, problems. Our problems are not actually problems. They are problems when we do not understand this field that we are a part of. But if we would generally, collectively understand who we are, we don't have any problems. We have only projects and possibilities and wonderful things to move towards. So now my friend, my one friend who regularly comes and sees me, listens to me live, she said that she may not make today's shows. She's probably doing something else. And she may catch the replay, and that would be great. I will still post this. I will post it in the past. It will be done when I post it as a video to my channel. I do have a couple people who do listen to that. And I can always, if I ever can a really good one, then I can use it as reaching out to somebody saying, hey, this is my channel, this is what I'm doing here, check it out. And it is my deep prayer that someday I will find someone who wants to partner with me in this work, who wants to sit in front of me and help me with the questions so that I can, make contact with the answers. We all have access to this information, so it's not like I'm puffing myself up in any sort of grandiose kind of way. My actual message to all of us is we are a field of information, and we can use that to fix all of the things we call a problem. It would be so easy to fix our problems, actually, if we would but see the situation differently. Then the situation doesn't have to change. How we look at it is what has to change. And the interesting thing is that can change pretty damn quickly if we were given certain pieces of information that would fill in the gaps, the missing pieces of what we don't have concerning who we are and how reality comes to being in this wonderful, connected black hole, scalar universe made up of frequencies. We are frequencies. Everything is a frequency. The thoughts that you're thinking have frequencies. It's all made of Plancks, and they're either stochastic, kind of canceling out to the random because there's no organization in that structure of the field, in which case you and I would call that empty space. Or it has come into organization through the spinning Planck structure. It has come into some sort of coherence in that area of the field, and you call that matter. And the organizational structure of it is the Plancks are spinning. They're either spinning in a coherent organizational structure, in which case you call it matter, or they are just all canceling to the random, but still all there and highly, highly, highly energetic. And then you call that empty space. But in whatever it is, it's this Planck field spinning. Ooh, I need a sweater. Hold on 1 second. Oh, I can pause the recording. Pardon me for leaving. So, what is the meaning of, why do I keep harping on this? Because it actually implies some stuff that conventional physics decided a long time ago is impossible, and so they don't look that way. And the whole thing is sort of upholding and supporting a commercial and academic structure that has a status quo thing going on. It has to do with all of the actual businesses who are let's start again. I'm sorry. Going and finding more clothes and putting them on sort of distracted me from where I was. I was talking about the structure and nature of reality and us. This is the structure and nature of us. This connected field. And it's so what is at stake if we understand this new physics, this new scalar relationship, this new understanding of who we are and what this feedback, feed forward system in the field, how it works. If we get it, we have free, clean energy. We have gravity control. We have a literal enormous boost of energy to mankind to accomplish all the things that we want to accomplish. And we need to think about what we actually want to accomplish. Pardon me while I pull this all together. I'm really trying to talk about literally everything, and yet finding a way to boil it down to where something is interesting and specific without another person in front of me summoning the questions from me. That would be the easy way, wouldn't it? But see, I'm a hermit, and I do this really, really early in the morning, and so I don't have anybody actually that I can depend on to come into my studio and do this with me every morning, for an hour. And so I have to riff myself, and I have to believe that there is a reason why I am trying to do it this way. Who am I? What is the new understanding? Actually, the lane that I have chosen is law of attraction meets unified physics, because I want to understand not just the overall physics of it, which I want to then point in a general direction and have all the physicists and mathematicians of our people head that way, leave the academic physics classrooms that we've got going on right now and head over to this new understanding, because it's going to be the future. It's going to be the one that will bring us the true 21st century. We're not really in the 21st century yet. The 20th century is kind of holding on a little bit. We find ourselves in an interesting moment. It's sort of like the 1925 moment, when understandings of quantum physics were bringing us to the verge of the 20th century. A recognition of electromagnetic fields and how to control them, and the kinds of things we could do with those electromagnetic fields, pass information from one side of the planet to the other through radar, radio, television waves. If I misspeak, by the way, I'm not an expert. I am a lay person, but lay people can understand this. And when lay people understand this, we will send our physicists and our mathematicians to build us the technology that will bring us this century, not last century. The businesses of last century are doubling down on last century's technologies. They continue to own the world. I really don't want to push against anything. It is not, in a way, it isn't a problem, because from this perspective, from where I stand, all is well. Everything is always working out for us. It still is. It still could be. I mean, it's always working out for me. Things are always working out for me. And all that means is, now sometimes it might appear that they are not working out for me. It might be because my object of the exercise is not necessarily what the object of my inner being's exercise is. I may think that the object of the exercise is that I am always safe and comfortable. The fact is that I have an aspect of myself who is always safe and comfortable. And if I would get into alignment with her, then my physical self would feel a lot safer and more comfortable too. That's one thing that I have learned. So, where shall I go with this? Let's start with the inner being, because I think that this is the most important concept of all of these concepts. This is the one where when you start with this one, we can spin this out into really interesting places. So you are a vibrational being in a vibrational universe, and that matters. The fact is that you are who you really, really are. You may think that you are a physical object, a physical body banging around in a physical universe. And there is an element of that. There is an appearance of that. But that's not really what you are. That's not really what you are. What you really, really, and truly, truly are is frequencies. You are a continuum of frequencies. And these frequencies, they feel like something. Actually, if you believe Abraham, and I do, your frequencies are all pure positive. You are pure positive energy. You are pure positive vibration. You are liquid love. But you're also a continuum of data and information. You are an information flow. You are flowing from 1 minute to the next minute to the next minute to the next minute through time, and it is continuing. You are continuing, and you are a continuum of intention and desire, or I could say it the other way. You are a continuum of desire and intention, and you are flowing. That's who you really are. And that you really are. So I think of us as being binary beings. You are the form and the formless, but all of this stuff is so important, because this all goes to the meaning of your positive and negative emotions. Quit thinking that the meaning of your positive and negative emotions are conditional. They aren't actually conditional, although you might be being alerted to something else that's going on in the field around you that is out of alignment. You know, your negative emotions you might be witnessing something out there, outside of you, that is out of alignment. That may very well be true. But the meaning of your negative emotions is not that. It has to do with something else. It has to do with who you really are, and the thoughts that your smaller self... Oh my goodness. Let me start. I have to keep starting back at the beginning. It's such a big topic, and such a big deal, and so many places to come at it from. And I could get pedantic and very academic talking about the structure of it, and or I can get quite personal, because this has to do with how you're living your life too. What are you focusing on as you live your life? What are you focusing on? Because there's all kinds of stuff to focus on. There's bad stuff. I can focus on how bad the weather is and how frightened I am that we haven't had any rain, and nobody in the Southwest has for a long, long time. My sister tells me that in the Phoenix area, they've had like a half an inch of rain since what? What was that time period, she told me? Last March? Last summer? When did she say that? It's a desert. It's a freaking hot desert. How long does it have to be since you had rain before you're in trouble? You know? I think she's got a she's got a gauge in her yard that measures rain, and she hasn't measured more than that, in a long time. Half an inch. They're supposed to get like 7 inches a year to be, a normal functioning desert. Something like that. So anyway, see how easy it is to get sidetracked? So you can think about anything. What are you focusing on? And the thing is that the field around you, it looks like a couple things. It looks like one thing. Well, it is one thing. It also looks like many, 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 many discrete objects that are actually not discrete objects at all, but part of this one field that you're looking at. And the fact that you call it, so the idea is, instead of no, I'm going to get to Abraham's idea of my book of positive aspects. She has this process where you physically take you could do this physically and literally, or you could just do it mentally and walk around and do this intentionally. But as you walk around, you intentionally notice and focus on aspects of things that you like. I like that. 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 As you walk through your day, your world, your life, you make it a practice to focus on the aspects of the world that you like. And the whole point of doing this is, you may not realize it, but you are a tuner. You are a tuning device. You are not creating so much as that you're tuning to and iterating. And through that process, that is your creation process. You are tuning and iterating because you are a fractal expression of the holographic universe. You are a fractal holographic expression of this whole universe that we are a part of. And whatever it is you're tuning to, that's the aspect, that's how your iteration is expressing out. And so it's really important that you focus on positive things. Focus on what you like. Don't focus on what makes you grumpy. Don't focus on the parts that you can acknowledge them in the back of your mind. You can, as you put them to the side view, you can say, I see you over there in my peripheral vision, but I'm choosing to focus here instead. And so you focus on what you like, focus on what you like, focus on what you like. I preach this all the time, but I realized this morning that it might be that it needs a little more fleshing out. This notion of focusing on what you want, because some people might take that very literally and materially and physically, and selfishly, and without conscious realization of the wholeness that they are. And so they might say, oh, I'm supposed to focus on what I want. I want that car. I'm focusing on that car. I suppose whatever I'm not going to get into any specifics about what any person should specifically do. I'm going to tell people about their design and encourage them to line their two selves up with one another. And then from that position, now follow your impulses. Focus on what you want. Focus on positive things. Focus on possibilities. Lean into your optimism. Realize who we are. Recognize what's possible. All that kind of stuff. From that position, then I would encourage all those, positive leaning positions. And then do whatever your bliss dictates you to do. Whatever your joy and happiness from that position, now follow it. You can be trusted from your regularly aligned position. Don't get too carried away too quickly until you start catching whiffs of your larger self. Start recognizing who your greater self actually is, because this whole thing is iteration in scales, and so are you. You have scales of yourself. You are yourself as your protons, your literally your atomic structure. At that scale, you are you at that self, and at that scale, you are way connected to the rest of the field around you. At the atomic scale, you can't hardly tell the difference. Everybody is electron swapping, and you know. At that scale, you are the field, baby. And then, but your other scales of it too. You are, let's see, what was where was I going with this one? Because I had a very specific avenue that I was going to be walking straight down to tell you who you are. In your consciousness, you are these different scales. You can see yourself as your specific individual human project and make your way from that position as you try to stay in alignment with your inner being and get along with the frickin' people around you. Even, God forbid, your family. You know, your family is the trickiest one. And that's why they are the true Buddha on your path. You know, they are not just you getting along with you from a law of attraction perspective, you know, just birds of a feather flocking together. And if I can't get along with you, then I'll just leave you alone and go get along with the people I get along with. Family is the exception. It's like, no, we do not get together because, we all belong to the same club or all have the same interests. We get together because we are blood related. And so that family is the challenge, isn't it? And so they're the ones that really teach you who you really are and how to really get along with the greater field around you. If you can get along with the family, your family is like New York. If you can make it there, you can make it anywhere. At least I kind of think that. So anyway, who am I? And how do you work yourself? So walk through your life and as best as you can, spend as much of your time as you can noticing the things around you that you like, that you love, that you appreciate, that you find peaceful and comforting. Resonate with them. Look at them. Acknowledge them. Do one of those like where your fingers point at your eyes and then they point at the other person's eyes. Do one of those. I see you. I like that. Just do it as you walk through your life. As you notice the living things around you that you appreciate. Say hello to the birds in the trees. Notice the grass growing in your yard. Water something if it needs it. Feel something about it as you walk through it. Some people, their questions might be something like, I'm going to come up with an artificial question so that I can give an answer to this artificial question. The artificial question is, Abraham, I don't like my job. How do I find a better job? And the answer is, appreciate the one you've got. Not from a conditional perspective, but just all of the aspects of it. Appreciate all of the aspects of everywhere that you are. The house that you are in. Appreciate all the aspects of the house that you are in. The things that you like. Acknowledge all the things that you like and all of the aspects about everywhere that you are in your world, in your life. And it's from igniting what you're doing is you are tuning in to the frequencies of the aspects of the world that you appreciate, so that you can guide yourself between you and your inner being. You guide yourself into more and more fields of those aspects that you appreciate. Now, every subject is two subjects, and you got to be careful of which it's like a stick with two ends of it, and one end of the stick is the presence of that aspect that you like, and the other end of the stick is the absence. Now, which end of the stick are you actually looking at? Are you looking at its presence or its absence? If you're thinking about the subject of money, are you thinking about the fullness and abundance and positive expression of money, or are you looking at the fact that you don't have enough of it? And so you're looking at the absence of money, and that's making you feel scarcity. Which way are you feeling about it? That's telling you which end of the stick you're looking at. And you need to be looking at the end of the stick that's making you feel good about it. How you are feeling is the most important part of the equation. And who knew? Because we have been taught from our young age not to be selfish in our feelings, to care about the rest of the group and the rest of the field, and to sacrifice ourselves for the rest of the group and the rest of the field. And I get it. I know what they're talking about. You do have to acknowledge that you are part of the field. You are a field phenomenon, and you're looking for a win-win position. But I promise you, in order to achieve a win-win, both you and the field have to win. And there have been problems in the past when people recognize the greater picture and then want to sacrifice themselves for the greater picture. And then they end up, that happens, it turns into like sacrificing yourself for the state. I know it doesn't feel good to me, but sacrifice yourself for the greater group, and that will end up somehow with a bigger picture that is a good thing, not a bad thing. And you know what? It hasn't actually worked out that way so far. I think that we have to come to an understanding of what this field is and how it works, and how absolutely inextricably vital and important every single piece on the grid is, because every one of them are feeding into the whole field. We're all feeding into the whole field. It's there's a holographic wholeness going on around us that you can't escape. And quite frankly, once you realize how it's designed, you don't want to escape it. You're like, oh, cool. I have the whole universe right everywhere in my atomic structure is contained, the entire freaking universe, updated every Planck instant. And what I feed the universe from where I am is feeding into the wholeness of the whole thing. What? So cool. Well, now we've got to do some understanding of some things. Now we've got to really understand who we are and knock off this nonsense about an us and a them. There's no us and a them, and there certainly would never be an us versus them. It's all us, baby. It's all us. All us. And you've got to own it that way. When you own it that way, at first, so get really unconditional about it first and be at peace. All is well. It's all okay. All the way down to the horror of it. It's all okay. It really is. Just be at peace. Let it all go. And then start picking it back up from a position of feeling okay. So where do I come from this ridiculous point of view? So all my life, from the time that I laid my religion down, And I did have a religious upbringing. I was given a religious template. I think of it as a lens of these things I am told, this is true, this is true, this is true, this is true. And your beliefs are truly, that is what Abraham says, they're just thoughts that you keep thinking. Now, the closer that the thoughts that you keep thinking actually jive with actual reality around you, then the more effective you are going to be in your physical life. The more effective you are going to be in whatever it is that you want to be about. Whether it's, you want to be about, everybody leave me alone, I want to be in my laboratory and I want to come up with this genius thing because it's preying on my mind and I'm just really excited about it. Maybe that's what you're about. Or maybe you are a social butterfly and you want to be a politician because all you want to do is just schmooze and grease elbows and shake hands and have everybody turn to you, or maybe that's your personality. Whatever it is you're about, maybe all you want to do is play that game that you want to be the best at in the world, or you want to cook the most delicious food because you love the looks on people's faces when they take a bite of your chocolate mousse, or whatever it is that you are craving. Understand your structure, get into alignment with yourself, feel good, and then go forth and act. And when you don't feel good, take a step back, do whatever it takes to take care of yourself, and then, when you feel good again, then start acting again. I never realized how vitally important it is that we take care of ourselves, that we take care of each other too, but understand that we are a field phenomenon. So take care of yourself and understand that you are more than just yourself. Do those two things. And then act from whatever impulses your position on the grid is giving you right now. Just do it. Just do what your inner being says. Get into alignment with her and then act from her impulses, and you should be all right. Now, what's the object of the exercise? That's a really good question. You might say, actually, it is a really good question, and depending on how you answer that question, everything flows from that point differently. It's almost an organizational fundamental point. What's the object of the exercise? I actually have come to believe that no matter what we imagine the object of the exercise is, if we are not in alignment with our inner beings, and which we aren't, I mean, look at us. We are still insisting on war with one another, either hot or cold, either overt or clandestine, either international or civil and internal. We continue to have to wage war with one another. We continue to declare the us and them of it, whether it's within the family members that have declared, exes that have declared war upon one another, even when children are involved. Oh, the suffering, the horror. So no matter what we imagine the object of the exercise to be, I might imagine, well, the object of the exercise is that I have to finish college because then I have to get a job, because I have to make money, because I have to support myself, I have to make my parents proud. I have to, let's see, what is the object of the exercise? What is the object of the exercise? It's a really good question. In a general, from a very, very general, backed out to the total general, object of the exercise is joyful sustainability. And I mean that both myself as an individual, I want to have joyful sustainability. I want to find a pattern that I can kind of keep repeating while elements of it can be different. So the stuff that I like that repeats is certain aspects of my routine, certain expectations I have about the systems around me. There are transportation systems, and communication systems, and currency transfer systems, and food production and distribution systems in place. All of those things I want in place. I want a system of choices amongst real estate. Where do I want to make my abode? What do I want to do with my time? How do I want those things. I want the ecological systems of the planet to be in order. I want us not to be worried about a tomorrow where the entire climate has collapsed and we can't grow food anymore because you can't predict harvest time, you can't predict planting dates, where the hell is the rain, I've got to water my crops, etc., etc., etc. And do you know what's going to bring us this stability? This general stability that I would love to live in a world where there's this general stability of systems that then I get to choose day to day. What do I want to eat? Who do I want to play with today? How do I want my resources to flow? What do I want to contribute to the greater group? Do I want to cook something amazing for some of us, or do I want to organize a really fun activity? Or do I want to write a story that gives everybody the chills, Or do I want to help somebody heal some aspect of themselves that, whether it's psychological or maybe I'm good at sewing up boo-boos, all of that. Do you feel how we need to find who we are individually, who we are collectively, so that we can be ourselves and come together in a natural, it's all about order and organization and intention, focus, attention, focus and attention. It's all about alignment, basically. It boils all the way back to alignment. Alignment between what? Between two scales of yourself. You have a small scale in your physical body, and within that small scale of your physical body is contained the holographic vibrational information of the whole entire universe. That's you at the micro level. But you have other scales of you. You have a macro scale of you that is the size of the universe. And this one is vibrational also. This one is it's your source you. It's the you Abraham calls your source self. It is. And you are connected to, vibrationally, you are connected to the whole field. And I was talking earlier about this scalar view of the universe. You go from the Planck scale to the proton scale to the molecular scale to the scale right here in the middle. It's like the scale of biology, where biology comes together. It is halfway between the Planck scale and the scale of the universe. Halfway between there is right here at the biological level where we are walking around on the grid. We are playing this medium role where we can connect both to our allness level and our smallness level. And here we are in consciousness. But now I have a small life I have to live too. Now how does that work? Well, I get my selves into alignment with one another, and then I'm okay. My big self, who totally understands me as a field, me as morphogenetic fields that I can splice up in all kinds of different ways. I'm all kinds of different morphogenetic fields of biology. I am a human being. I am the biofield in general. I am my family. I am my state, my village, my bowling team. Wherever you find, maybe I'm my work team. It's different spins of organization is what they are, what it boils down to, because that's what everything is. Fundamentally speaking, it's all spin. The whirling dervishes they're on to something. They are on to something. There's a reason why they spin. Because in their spinning, then they have to find that stillness at the center of their spin. And from that point, they are in contact with universal consciousness. And every single one of us can do this. Find the center of the center of the center of your own spinning spins. Spin your life the way you want it. Spin your story the way you want it. Tune into the frequencies that feel good to you. If they feel good, it's an indication that you are in alignment with your greater self. And if you're in alignment with your greater self that knows you to be the field and not just your individual self, then you'll be all right. You will not do harm. When you see something broken on the side of the road, someone broken on the side of the road, your heart will reach out in tenderness. And, you'll gather up the bird with the broken wing and you'll help heal it, and then you will, release it back into the wholeness of who we are. So who am I? I'm 47 minutes into the show, and I'm going to just quickly check to see whether anybody ever came over. They don't need to. They do not need to. Some people, they will pick it up on the video side. This other one, she might pick it up on the live replay side. And indeed, I have no one in the room today. And that's okay. I think that there's one person out there who gets a... it's because I don't change the name of my damn show. I could. But I only really want to do that when I know what I'm doing, because I don't know what I'm doing. I may need someone to talk to, but I want them to be on board with my vision, my mission. And if they understand what it is I'm trying to do, then they are welcome to. I would love to play with somebody in this studio space. And every day it's the Itchy and Scratchy Show. Itchy and Scratchy Show. Or something. And I am your host, Amelie Starchild, and my frolicsome co-host, friendly frolicsome co-host, X. I don't know. Who am I? What is at stake here? I'm telling you, people, free, clean energy for humanity, for all time that does not need to be dug out of the ground, refined, shipped around the world, piped around the world. It does not need to be done. Now, I know a lot of people have protested the ugliness of fossil fuels based on the ugliness of fossil fuels. For instance, that Native American tribe in South Dakota who put their lives on the line to protest the XL pipeline back in 17 or whatever year that was, 14. I don't know. I sort of have lived my life the last few years. I turned completely inward. I have in 2016, I became politically active for just half a minute. For just half a minute, I became quite resistant. I joined the resistance. I created protest signs, and I picketed. I had to do something. And I think that I did what I did for myself. But I don't do that anymore because I don't actually believe that pushing back against anything is the way to go. It's know what you want, understand what you want, and move in the direction of what you want. Quit pushing against what you don't want. And this is the tricky thing for human beings because we spend most of our life being mostly negative. And so, what do you mean? Focus on what you want instead of focusing on what you don't want. I don't know. What I want is not that. Well, your inner being has understood. Your inner being knows. When you say, I want not that, she knows what you want. And she goes right where that frequency is of what you want, and she sits there right on that frequency. And she's waiting for you to get it, for you to go to that frequency. And how can you tell when you're at that frequency? It feels good. That's why pay attention to how you feel. Don't think thoughts that don't feel good. It doesn't matter whether the thoughts are true or not. Do not think thoughts that do not feel good. And I'm going to sneeze. Excuse me. Sorry about that. Don't think thoughts that don't feel good. Now, you have to practice that because we all practice lots of thoughts that don't feel good. When I think about how horrible Nazis are, that doesn't feel good. When I think about, the fact that it hasn't rained in a long time, that doesn't feel good. When I think about the fact that a lot of human beings are killing a lot of the ecosystem, which means individual animals, which means individual consciousnesses and sentient beings who are feeling pain and psychological suffering and all of that, and none of that makes me feel good. All of that makes me feel bad. And as far as human beings go, we're cutting our own throats in all of this as we cut down the ecosystems in order to grow cattle, to, make hamburgers or whatever. It's ostensibly to grow our own food, but in the end, we destroy our long-range ability to grow food because, we collapse the climate and all that kind of stuff. None of that, I don't like any of that stuff. And so I don't actually think about those things, but I am cognizant of those things. I recognize those things to be true. We are not okay on planet Earth. Human beings, to this moment, have not been okay, and I believe that the reason that we are not okay is that we don't know who we are. And that's why I think that lessons in who we are, greater general understandings of who we are, alignment with our fractal scales of who we are, will bring us into, so I have scalar iterations of myself. I am a small self. I am a teeny weeny self. I am my protons. I am my cellular structure. That's me at my smaller levels. And then I am a collection of some 50 to 100 trillion of my smaller selves come coalesce together in this larger self that I call a human being. That is an iteration of myself. But I can go bigger. I am myself as humanity. Actually, I could get smaller too. I'm myself as different human groups, different organizations of humans, swirling based on different intentions. Organizations that started forth as different intentions to achieve certain goals based on certain assumptions about the world. And some of those intentions now have kind of a life of their own. There are institutions out there that are trying to survive, themselves. They are trying to... this world is so interesting, people. It is so interesting. And we're so amazing. And the structure is so amazing. And it's so malleable. And there's so much possibility here that when you start scratching the surface of recognizing who and what we really are, and then realize how it is that we're supposed to be minding our own business. First of all, mind your own business. You have all the power in the world to affect everything you need to affect in your own physical life, to bring about whatever projects you're trying to make happen, whatever things you want to make happen, whether it's a building project you're trying to put together, or a job you're trying to land, or an educational understanding you're trying to coalesce inside your own mind, a degree you're trying to get, or a business proposition, whether it's a simple organization that you're trying to put together, like you're trying to organize a bake sale, or a softball team, or a family reunion. Doesn't matter. What do you want? Get into alignment with your smaller and larger selves, and then from that position, now, whatever feels right, whatever you're thinking about, just go for it, and just be easy about it. No sudden moves if you're not used to doing this. Just kind of move forward gently and with confidence, but, and the more used to being in alignment you are, the more you can start trusting your moves forward, If you keep lurching into negative emotion, then I would advise that you sort of stay still until you get a really clear indication that you should move forward. So what do I mean? Let's talk about our positive and negative emotions. Your negative emotions, your positive emotions are who you are. Period. It's who all of us are. And I don't care if you're the grumpiest guy out there. Your positive emotions are who you really are. And so now, explain to me your negative emotions. I will explain to you your negative emotions. What are your negative emotions if your positive emotions are who you really are? Then what are your negative emotions? It's you out of alignment with who you really are. It's you have two selves. I mean, you have more than that, no doubt. You have 50 to 100 trillion. And how many selves do you have? Well, I'm going to talk about two. The one you have at your human level, and then the one you have at the cosmological level. Those are the two we're going to talk about. And when you're in alignment with those two, then you are in a state of positive emotion. if I am these two selves, how can I tell which is which? Well, I'll tell you right now. Your impulses are coming from your cosmic self, and your thoughts are coming from your smaller self. So your thoughts and your beliefs in your physical mind, in your physical brain, those are coming from your... I see that I'm at the hour mark, which means it's time for me to end, and in some ways I'm just getting warmed up, which means one of these days I really need a whole day. I need somebody to grant me a whole day where nobody talks to me, where nobody needs me. If I want to come out and do something and they happen to catch a glimpse of me, that's fine. But my brain and my whole thought process is right here, because I'm just getting warmed up. And I could go on and on and on from here and completely lose track of my individual self and go off on this topic for the rest of the day. I could do a whole seminar on the inner being. How does your allness and your smallness link together? Who are you really? And if we leaned into who we really were and we understood who we really were, the blessings and abundance and energy and joy and life that we would have. Oh my goodness. So did my friend ever join me? Oh, she did. How long ago? 3 minutes ago? Oh, you know what? I was just saying, I'm just getting warmed up. I could go on and on. So I really actually could just get started. I just circled back around, and I've been thinking about I had just circled back to the virtual meaning, the actual meaning of your negative self, because you are your positive frequencies. That's who you are. That's the continuum of who you are. That's the connection to all the rest of everything else that you are. That's who you really are. You are your positive self. So, now, how does all of this understanding pull together to help us know who the negative self is? Because that's who most people are. Most people are their negative self. They worry, they're pessimistic, they're grumpy about it, they're noticing all the things that they don't like, they are worried about the weather, they're worried about each other, they're worried about war and their neighbors and, their family and all that kind of stuff. It's hard not to focus on the aspects of the world that are most troubling. Actually, Indigo, if you don't mind, I'll go on for another half hour or so because I do have the time. I started early enough. And I have an appointment that I have to leave for around 9:30. And anyway, I can certainly go on with this for a few more minutes. We are our positive selves. The grumpiest, nastiest people who have ever lived on this planet. Nazis, Hitler, your brother-in-law, the nastiest people that you can imagine. By the way, I don't have any brothers-in-law. That one was not specific. Who we really are is our positive self, our positive emotions, our positive feelings. That's who we really are. So what's the explanation of the other part? It's because we are scalar fractal iterations. We are both small selves and large selves, and our larger self. I don't know if I can go on with this for another hour. because, or even another half hour. Such a wonderful topic, though. I believe that every lesson, every toe that humanity stubs from here until we get this lesson is all, every lesson that we need to learn is this lesson. Who are we? Because we can use the answer, oh, we are a Planck field that is pure positive energy, here for the joy, freedom, expansion, and fun. What? I didn't know that. I thought we were here for the testing and the suffering and the, proving that we deserve to be in heaven for the rest of eternity. It's like, no, and you aren't going to be in heaven for the rest of eternity, because what's actually happening is Project Life, Project Multiverse, Project Consciousness, Project, I know what the word is, Project in phase, Project coming into phase so that material manifestation can unroll and unfold. That's what it is. It's not you have one tiny speck of life, and then for all the rest of eternity, you are in heaven with God. It's not exactly like that. The fact is that there isn't anything but God, by the way. There is only God. There is only this allness that we are all co-participating in, from your small self as a conventional physical life, all the way out to your fractal allness that includes all the rest of the universe. And you, within your consciousness, have access to these frames. So the answer is, get yourselves into alignment with one another, because your negative emotion is only you not being in alignment with yourselves. That's all it is. It's just an expression of misalignment. It's not an expression of you're bad or you're not worthy, you're not worth anything. It's you've gotten yourself backwards to yourself. You're facing backwards. And now somehow in your facing backwards and you're still trying to move forwards, you're creating a kind of a negative energy field that's creating chaos. It's like rubbing the cat the wrong way. You're swimming upstream. You're going against the current. You're not flowing with the mothership. You're flowing the wrong direction, and you're causing chaos and disorder. But it's not an unworthiness aspect of you. It's an unconscious aspect. And that's why I believe that humanity coming to this place where we understand who and what we really are is going to fix things. It really will. We'll quit pushing against each other, even pushing against the last class of it's so funny, these different orders of human beings that it's okay to hate. You can hate the poor and the homeless or whatever. Or now it's the last one that we've really got to get over is hating billionaires. We've got to understand that billionaires are an aspect of ourselves, and we need them to understand that they are an aspect of us. And we all need to get together to make happen all kinds of things that are happening that I really love. And I don't really want to push against Jeff Bezos all the time, because this Accio magic thing that is Amazon is a delight. But what we need to understand is that we are a whole field. We are all in this together. We cannot escape from one another, even though, I often preach about you have your very own universe, you have your very, very, very own universe. The caveat to that is that universe is nestled in a foaming state of all these universes that are actually all in it together, and they're all cross-connected. Nobody is in their universe all by themselves. I mean, at the very core, at the center of the spin, at the very center of the center of the center of your personal universe that you are at the center of, that one, you're all alone in there. However, it is so much a part of so many other universes that, what does it even mean to say jillions and jillions of universes when ultimately there is one? There is one. There is one that it's all fractal iterations of this holographic pattern that we are all a part of, this divine matrix that we are all playing in and with and being. Who am I? Great question. So I'm going to go see what's going on over in the chat room. Yay! All right. Well, I think. I looked up just as the timer said 11111, and that is so funny, considering Indigo's full name there. I find that so auspicious that I looked up just as it said that. Abraham speaks a lot about that sort of alignment. And since she has decided that sort of alignment means something, then every time she runs across, she happens to just look at the clock all the time when it says, 111, 1111, or 222, or 333, or, Anyway, so interesting. Who am I? Who am I? And how does my understanding of who I am and how my consciousness works and how the true physics of my universe works, how does putting all of that together make my own personal life go better? That's a good question. That's a very good question. How do I parlay this into a better relationship? Either junk the one I got and find somebody better, or improve the relationship with the same people I got going on now. That's actually the better way. And how do I parlay it into a better job, into a better living situation, into any of that? How do we do that? Well, know who you are. Know that how you feel is the most important part of the equation, because whenever you feel emotionally at least at peace, you have in some way found concert is the word that keeps concert between you and your inner being. You are at least you're at least neutrally at peace. You're not in conflict with your inner being if you're feeling at least the feeling of satisfaction. Now, I want to find my way back to this, but I want to remind the audience of our emotional guidance system, showing us when we are in states of our true self or when we have run afoul of one of our phases. Our inner being, our larger source perspective, the big one that we share with the whole universe, or at least larger morphogenetic fields than, it might be the one we share with the biofield. It doesn't have to go all the way out to the... But anyway, so if you're feeling contentment, you are at least not in conflict with yourself. If you start feeling some of those higher feelings of positive emotion, it means that you have somehow found thoughts that are actively resonating with the kinds of thoughts that your larger self has about things. That's why you've gone in phase with your larger self, and that's why it feels so good. And when you think thoughts that make you feel bad, frustrated, disappointed, doubtful, worried about things, blaming others, discouraged altogether, angry at others for why, or resenting, vengeful. Actually, I threw that one in. I was reading revengeful. Revenge, hatred, rage, jealousy, all of those, you can feel those are tighter and tighter winding of that. And what it is you are two selves. You are two selves. You're actually, we've discussed this earlier on. And by the way, if you missed the someday you'll need to explain to me how you, somebody needs to explain to me how you even find my replay. As a pedestrian, I can find it from my studio. I just don't know how somebody else finds it. And find that replay and listen to what I was talking about earlier, because this is really key. Who we are. We are this fractal wholeness, these scales of ourself. And only when we are in alignment with ourself, then we are in alignment with the whole rest of the universe, and we don't need laws, and we don't need rules, and we don't need other people ordering us around. We will find our way, but we got to know who we are. And maybe that's the whole that's the whole lesson. The whole lesson is the most important thing that we can know is who we are. Who we are and how our physical universe actually works, and how it relates to the consciousness that our mind is using to evaluate the universe that we are in. And the closer that we get into alignment with imagining from our small to our large, and it actually being the way it is from the small to the large, the better job we are going to do living our lives on this planet, both individually and collectively. Remember, you are frequency. And the way you can tell whether you are... Wow, I just got a thought, but I don't know how to say the words, so... It has to do with... So earlier I was talking about your book of positive aspects, either a literal one that you're walking around taking notes. Love that bird. Grass is pretty. I woke up this morning. Breakfast was delicious. Or, whatever. As you walk around the world and notice, I like that. 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 What you're doing, what you're actually doing is you are... resonating with frequencies that you actually are. And the more you tune yourself to the frequencies of the aspects of the world that you like, instead of tuning yourself to the frequencies of the ones that you don't like, whatever frequencies you are tuning into, those are the ones that you are walking into more and more of. Whether it's because you are transforming the negative into the positive, as your act of walking into spaces now starts lightening up things, that's what it can get to. It's not just you choosing to leave the hard stuff behind and, go to where it's fun. It's you are fun. And fun is following you around, and you are co-creating with fun and beauty and all of this. We are wonderful, wonderful, wonderful beings. But we're horrible. We're bulls in china shops when we don't know who we are, when we don't know how it works, when we hold all of our neighbors and loved ones and family to their negative self instead of understanding what their negative self is. And let's help us all understand what our negative self is so that we can, instead of skewering each other for expressing our negative selves, we can soothe and encourage and love one another into laying our negative selves down and being our positive selves. Know who you really are. And with that, I think I'm going to end because I do have to start my day, and most people can't listen to an hour and 20 minutes of me without like getting tired of it. So I've got to go back to let me go back to where was I? Let's see, I was at the fireplace. Campsite, that's where I was. This is where I was. This is where I want to end my broadcast, because I think on the live side, it ends with whatever one you ended with, and that's the one that's your thumbnail. And on the video side, the one you start with is this. So anyway, I have to be cognizant of all these things. I can't just think about the esoteric, especially since I'm a hermit and I have no technological help in the room with me. So, who am I? Who am I? Until tomorrow, when I will come back and ask this question again and again and attempt to answer it for us, for myself, and for all mankind. I am feeding the field right where I am. It's just my small little area of the field, but I am going to saturate my spaces with this information. Who am I? I am my positive self, and we all are. We all are the same positive self, by the way. Did you know that? In our allness, we are one. And in our smallness, it is up to each and every one of us to go out there and do the best that we can to align ourselves with ourselves, and then follow your bliss. Follow your bliss. And until tomorrow, when I will be following my bliss right into this studio to do this show again and again. And until then, I'm going to go out and live my little life and do the best that I can. And until tomorrow, as always, may the source be with you.